Now, folks, hey, I hope you and your kids enjoyed that classic Christmas story as much as we enjoyed telling it. I know my kids enjoyed that every Christmas Eve. For years, I certainly recited that. And we certainly have time for more Christmas stories, so, don't go away. Keep drinking that hot chocolate. Frank, a listener and viewer from Raleigh, North Carolina, wrote about Santa's secret wish being one of his favorite Christmas stories, which he wants us to share with you folks. And we'd be honored to share this great story with all you folks watching us right now. Now, on Christmas Eve, a young boy with light in his eyes looked deep into Santa's, and to Santa's surprise, and said as he nestled on Santa's broad knee, "I want your secret, please, tell it to me." So he leaped up and whispered in Santa's good ear, "How do you do it year after year? I want to know how, as you travel about, giving gifts here and there, you never run out. How is it, dear Santa, that in your sack of toys you've got plenty for all the world's girls and boys? It stays so full it never empties as you make your way from rooftop to homes large and small, from nation to nation, reaching them all." And Santa smiled kindly and said to the boy,
"Don't ask me hard questions. Don't you want a toy?"
But the child shook his head, and Santa could see that he needed the answer.
"Now listen to me."
He told the small boy with the light in his eyes,
"My secret will make you sadder and wise. The truth is that my sack is magic. Inside it holds millions of toys for a Christmas Eve ride. But although I do visit each girl and each boy, I don't always leave them a brightly wrapped toy. Some homes are hungry, some homes are sad. Some homes are desperate, some homes are bad. Some homes are broken, and children they grieve. These homes I visit, but what should I leave? My sleigh is filled with the happiest stuff. For homes where despair lives, toys aren't enough. So I tiptoe in, kiss each girl and boy, and pray with them that they will be given the joy of the spirit of Christmas, the spirit that lives in the heart of dear children who gets not, but still gives. If only God hears me and answers my prayer when I visit next year, what will they find there? Our homes filled with peace and with giving and love, and boys and girls gifted with light from above. It's a very hard task, my smart little brother, to give toys to some and to give prayers to others. The prayers are the best gifts, and the best gifts indeed, for God has a way of meeting each need. That's part of the answer. The rest, my dear youth, is that my sack is magic, and that is the truth. In my sack I carry on Christmas Eve day more love than Santa could ever give away. The sack never empties of love or of joys, because inside are prayers and hopes, not just toys. The more that I give, the fuller it seems, because giving is my way of fulfilling dreams. And do you know something? You've got a sack too. It's as magic as mine, and it's inside of you. It never gets empty. It's full from the heart. It's the center of lights and of love. You see, it's your heart.
And
And if on this Christmas you want to help me, don't be so concerned with your gifts beneath your tree. Just open this sack, call your heart, and share your joy, your friendship, your wealth, and your care.
the light in the small boy's eyes was glowing. "Thanks for the secret, Santa. I've got to be going."
Wait, little boy, don't go. Will you share? Will you help? Will you use what you know?
And just for a moment the small boy stood still, touched his heart with a small hand and whispered, "Yes, Santa, I will." You know, folks, I think we all need to be like Santa and that little boy. We need to share, not just our presents, but our joy and our friendship and our love with all those that need it. And with just a few more shopping days until Christmas, it's not too late to make a difference in a family's lives, maybe one less fortunate than yours. I would certainly encourage you to get in touch with some great organizations out there, like Salvation Army, the Kitchen, the Mission in your neighborhood, your church, those that are dedicated to bringing Christmas to those less fortunate than us. So if you folks want to make a difference, donate your time, donate your money. You want to bring the joy and the magic of Christmas to those who especially need it. That's really an important thing to do at Christmas time. Now, I had an email from Sharon out of Phoenix, Arizona, who shared with me the other day their two young daughters absolutely love Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, everybody's favorite. But I always asked her, where did he come from? So I thought, why don't we tell the story behind Rudolph? Where did Rudolph come from? So here it is for Sharon's young daughters and all you kids out there watching. Let's talk about Rudolph. Now, on a very cold December night in Chicago, a little girl climbed into her father's lap and asked a question. It was a simple question asked in childlike curiosity, but it had a heart-rending effect on Robert May. "Daddy," 4-year-old Barbara asked, "why isn't Mommy just like everybody else's mommy?" Bob May stole a glance across his shabby two-room apartment, because on the couch lay his young wife Evelyn, who was terribly ill. For 2 years she'd been bedridden. For 2 years all of their income and savings had gone to pay her for her treatment and medicines. And he's ran his fingers through Barbara's hair. He prayed for a pleasing answer to her question. Now folks, although Bob didn't know at the time, the answer he gave this tousled-haired child in his lap was to bring him fame and fortune. But it was also to bring joy to countless thousands of children, just like his own Barbara. On that December night in that shabby Chicago apartment, Bob began to tell a story to Barbara. Once upon a time, there was a reindeer named Rudolph, the only reindeer in the world that had a big red nose. And of course, people called him Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And as Bob went on to tell about Rudolph, he told Barbara that even though some creatures of God are strange and different, they often enjoy the amazing power to make other people happy. Rudolph, Bob explained, was terribly embarrassed by his unique nose. In fact, other reindeer laughed at him. Even his mother and father and sister were embarrassed too with that big red nose. So even Rudolph wallowed in self-pity. "Well," continued Bob, "one Christmas Eve, Santa Claus got his team of husky reindeer, Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, and Vixen, ready for their yearly trip around the world. So the entire reindeer community came out to cheer their great heroes on their way. But this terrible fog engulfed the earth that evening, and Santa knew the mist was so thick he wouldn't be able to find any chimneys. So suddenly Rudolph appeared with his red nose glowing brighter than ever, lighting up the whole area, and Santa sensed at once that this was the answer to his problem. So he had Rudolph and led him to the front of his sleigh, fastened the harness, and climbed in, and they were off, because Rudolph guided Santa safely to every chimney that night. Rain and fog, snow and sleet, nothing bothered Rudolph. His bright nose penetrated the fog like a large beacon of light. And so it was that Rudolph became the most famous and beloved of all the reindeer. The huge red nose he once hid in shame was now the envy of every doe and buck in the reindeer world. And Santa Claus told everyone that Rudolph had saved the day. And from that Christmas on, Rudolph has been guiding Santa's sleigh very, very happily. Little Barbara laughed with glee when her father finished, and every night she begged him to repeat that story about Rudolph until finally Bob could rattle it off in his sleep. And then at Christmas time, he decided to make the story into a poem, kind of like The Night Before Christmas, and prepared it in a book form, illustrated with pictures, for Barbara's personal Christmas gift. Well, Barbara cried with joy over her handmade gift on Christmas morning. By Christmas of 1947, folks, 6 million copies of that book have been given away or sold, making Rudolph one of the most widely distributed books in the entire world. And as each Christmas rolls around, Bob recalled with delight that night when his daughter Barbara's question inspired him to write the poem that closes with these lines. But Rudolph was bashful despite being a hero. Hey Santa, is your favorite reindeer still Rudolph?
You bet. Without Santa, I'd have a difficult time finding all the little boys and girls' homes in the dark. I need his red nose to light the way.
Thank God for Rudolph.